Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel Young and The Restless Diaries. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. While Mariah threatens to assault Ian, Billy interrogates Phyllis about Sharon. Today on The Young and The Restless, Phyllis puts a condition on working with Billy, Nick gets a distressing information about Sharon, and Mariah confronts Ian. Billy notices that Phyllis is sitting motionless and grinning at society. This unsettles him, so he inquires about the situation. According to her, nothing, but he doesn't believe her. Phyllis tells him for the first time in a long time, things are right on track for her. She says she's moving on from Sharon and everything. I can't control it. Billy agrees, she can't. As Phyllis stresses once again that she has no power over Michael, Sharon, or Nick, he is impressed. Righteous wrath is something Billy can relate to, but he believes she's just trying to convince herself. He asks if she's actually let this go. Sighing, Nick is at Sharon's apartment. Descending the stairs, Faith confesses that she was too exhausted to sleep. Christian is still upstairs, she adds, and she is grateful to her father for staying. Nick notes that Tessa and Mariah returned home to be with Arya. They worry about not hearing from Sharon. Nick adds she hasn't been booked into a hospital and the police have begun a search. He pledges they'll find her mother. Nick strives to soothe Faith, but she knows he's frightened too. She reminds out that Sharon wouldn't go off alone without alerting them at this point. Nick argues she may have had feelings to work out. Your mom can handle herself. Faith believes she was drugged again or had another breakdown. What if it was Ian? The guy's capable of anything, right? Maybe he did something to Mom. At the ranch, Nikki seethes about the monster Ian Ward coming back to town. Victor insists he won't harm anyone in his family anymore. Nikki's not so sure and says he's not to be underestimated. Victor will deal with him. Nikki knows he'd prefer to go after him on his own, but he's unhinged. Victor tells her Ward is being watched. He won't catch any of us off guard again. Nikki fumes, how dare he come back here after all the agony he's caused. In the park, Ian glances up from his spot on the bench when Tessa and Mariah appear with Arya in her stroller. As he admires the infant, Mariah steps forward protectively. She warns Ian to take a step back. Ian realizes how his presence could give her pause. Mariah tells Tessa they need to depart. Ian interrupts her, pointing out that a Newman guard is following him. He's not a threat. Mariah scoffs at this. Tessa asks what he wants. Ward says he wants to be responsibility for the trauma he caused in the past. Mariah encourages him to go back to prison and that guys like him don't change. Ian pleads for a chance to make apologies. At society, Phyllis reminds Billy that when she puts her mind to anything, it's actually a piece of cake. Billy tells her it's one of her favorite things about her. Phyllis says she made a New Year's resolution. Billy hopes she can get over the first week. Phyllis confesses she's devoted to helping him get Chancellor back. Billy is thrilled to hear it, this will be a big fight. Phyllis says there's one condition. Billy sighs. He should know better. Phyllis isn't asking him to cut his arm off. Summer appears and tells her mother she talked to Chance. Sharon is vanished. At Sharon's apartment, Nick tells Faith that he knows how terrifying it is not being able to get in touch with her mom. Faith frets all over again. Nick acknowledges that Ian is a terrible son of a bitch, but he doubts he was able to tamper with Sharon's meds again. Faith is unconvinced. He's here for a reason. What if that reason is Mom? Nick continues reassuring Faith that Victor is keeping Ian away from the family. There's no way Ian could have got to her mom's medications. He gets her going to the worst case scenario, but Sharon's been solid lately. Faith asks, then where is she? She didn't meet them last night or come home last night. Where could Mom be? In the park, Mariah yells at Ian about why he deserves to rot in a cage. Ian argues hanging on to hatred poisons the soul. Mariah says her soul is okay, and he doesn't have one. Ward assures her everything was his fault, but trauma generates confusion in a young person's head, and they can come to believe they were responsible for their own agony. Mariah asks if he's mad and won't give him another minute of her time. Ian asks Tessa if she's okay, after her asthma episode. Tessa confesses she owes him her thanks. Ian goes on about being there in her moment of need. Mariah warns he's not going to present himself as the hero. Ian assures her that God has a purpose and it seems they are tied till the end. Mariah tells him he's horrible and no higher power is guiding him. Ian addresses Tessa and Mariah seeds that she wants to puke listening to him. She says he won't be able to con Tessa, so just stop it already. Ian apologizes and hopes one day she'll find forgiveness. At the ranch, Victor informs Nikki she's safe and so is the rest of the family. Nikki dislikes Ian and doesn't understand why he was set free. Victor reminds her he's a persistent manipulator. That's what worries her. Victor was shot because of him. Victor pledges he'll no longer be a problem for their family. At society, Phyllis asks Summer what Chance said. Summer says she didn't show up to New Year's supper and hasn't come home since. Phyllis scoffs that she's done this before. She'll lay low until everyone gets spooked out and then she'll arrive again. Summer doesn't think she'd have taken off without telling anyone after everything that's happened. Phyllis is sure she'll show up. Billy agrees with Summer that the timing feels off. He asks Phyllis, "Do you know what happened to Sharon?" At the property, Nick has arrived and informs his parents they haven't heard from Sharon. None of this makes sense. Victor will coordinate with the cops. He reports that his team have found out nothing so far. Nick begs Nikki to schedule a playdate for Christian and cautions Victor he won't be able to remain on top of things at Newman. Nikki wants him to rest, but Nick tells her it's not going to happen. Talk turns to Ian, and Victor says he's almost convinced he had something to do with Sharon's abduction because to the timing. In the park, Ian tells Mariah she has his admiration for her. It can't be easy, the kind of life they've established for themselves. She labels him pure dirt. Some in his position might condemn the nature of their connection, but he feels there are numerous sorts of love. Mariah instructs Tessa to take Arya to see the skaters. She'll be there when she's done with Ian. At society, Phyllis confronts Billy if he's truly suggesting she did something to Sharon. Billy reminds her she sat there and indicated she wanted personal retribution. Phyllis maintains that she claimed she didn't want Sharon to squirm out of taking responsibility. She wants Billy to apologize. Billy says, "My bad." Sally steps in and indicates to Billy, who goes to join her. Billy tells Sally she saved him. Sally says he can make it up to her by joining her on a work trip to Paris. "I just want you in Paris with me." Billy responds, "Let's go." Across the room, Phyllis encourages Summer to look at Billy holding hands with his gal pal after accusing her of being a criminal. "Why do people still assume the worst about me?" Summer looks down at the table. Phyllis screams, "Oh my God, Summer. Not you too." Summer doesn't think she did anything to Sharon, but she can't be surprised that Billy inquired. She's been yelling all over town. Phyllis says she confessed to killing Heather and framing Daniel. She was merely reporting facts. She maintains she's moving on and will let everyone else become frantic over Sharon. "I've let it go. If something dreadful has happened to her, it's on karma, not her." At Sally's table, Billy asks whether there's a reason why she's inviting him to join her in Paris. Is she thinking that it will stop him from going after Victor? Sally says that's part of it, she's hoping he'll drop his risky plan. Billy asks, what happens when we get back and I continue down my path? Sally answers that's his call. Billy grins that she's in his hands. Sally thinks he'll be delighted he is. At the ranch, Nick notes on Ian showing up right before Sharon goes radio silent. Victor argues it can't be a coincidence. They recap sending him to prison and praying he'd never get out. Nick snarls about the chaplain thing being a cover. Victor swears that Ian will be taken care of and there'll be no blowback on them. Nick immediately gets a call from Chance and Gops. What? Okay. Any sign of Sharon? He asks him to keep him posted, disconnects, and tells his parents they found Sharon's car in the river. At Society, Phyllis complains to Summer because Sally is so simple. Summer argues she's actually extremely talented. Phyllis reminds her about the past. Summer has moved on and gotten past it, she should try it someday. Phyllis warns that those who don't remember the past are condemned by it. Sharon bolts when she's pressed into a corner. Summer says she's disappeared and Faith is worried. I care about these people. Phyllis understands, but thinks Sharon is probably on a beach somewhere with no extradition treaties. She tells Summer they need to come together as a family, heal, and move forward. At the ranch, Nick tells his parents that Sharon's car was spotted near the bridge where Heather's body was recovered. The rescue squad dragged it out of the water, but there was no sign of her. They're still searching. At Society, Phyllis and Billy regroup after Sally and Summer left. She mocks him over his intimate encounter with Sally. Billy wants to put her energy to good use by going scorched earth to get Chancellor back. He wants to know her one condition. She says it's simple. When they get Chancellor back, Daniel will become a crucial role there. No Daniel, no me. Do we have a deal? At the park, Tessa protests being escorted away, but Mariah insists. Ian comments, she loves you very much. Mariah tells him not to talk to her wife or so much as glance at her daughter. I will never forgive you, much less tolerate you. Stay away from my family or I swear to God, I am going to murder you. Next on The Young and the Restless, Nate and Audra unearth a key clue. Chelsea gives Billy unwanted advice, and Devon strategizes with Lily and Abby. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Is Jordan's fate sealed? Will she meet a shocking end? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease Jordan finds herself faced with the onerous duty of babysitting a prisoner. Meanwhile, Ian Ward makes his way to the ranch, gearing up for a showdown with Victor Newman and Nikki Newman. The Young and the Restless spoilers. It looks like Sharon Newman's down in the sewer again. Sharon Newman is going to be transported from the hotel room shared with Jordan and Ian to a spot that feels disturbingly nostalgic. In 2023, the episode included a sewer system backdrop during Sharon's violent confrontation with Cameron Kirsten. That is where Sharon, Nick Newman, Faith Newman, and Chance Chancellor all had pivotal moments. According to the preview trailer for YNR for the week of January 6th to 10th, it appears that this sewer set might make a return, albeit with some small adjustments. However, there's a potential that the same set may be recreated as a wet basement or something similar. Y&R spoilers, a warning sign shown in the preview close to Sharon and Jordan. No matter the circumstances, Sharon will soon find herself trapped in that spot. Our main concern should be the foreboding warning in the preview film, which emphasizes the peril of high-voltage power. May this be an indication of an oncoming crisis? Imagine if Sharon wakes up and manages to resist before Jordan gets the chance to use chloroform on her again. She might break free from her shackles and engage in a heated struggle with Jordan. It would be quite a twist if, during their conflict, Sharon pushed Jordan, sending her sliding into a zone laden with the danger of high-voltage electricity. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Could Jordan Howard come to a shocking end? Imagining Jordan getting zapped by lightning offers a vivid picture. Maybe providing Sharon the opening she needs to make a break for its success isn't guaranteed, though taking the danger could be beneficial. We must remain alert, as the high-voltage warning sign might not be simply for show. Danger lurks in the shadows. Watching Jordan get burned as Sharon fights back would undoubtedly give a fascinating twist. Sharon is determined to find a way out of this tumultuous scenario, and will keep you posted on the increasing tension and the thrilling developments to come. According to future spoilers, Phyllis Summers will also find herself involved in the tornado of Jordan and Ian's upheaval, so stay tuned for all the jaw-dropping details. Damien's first appearance. Billy gives Chelsea love advice. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, January 8th predict some heated moments in Genoa City. First off, let's speak about a huge character introduction during the episode, as Nathan Owens has his first appearance as Nate Hastings' half-brother, Damien. Added teasers hint that Nate and gal pal Audra Charles will unearth a clue during Wednesday's show, which will lead them to Damien. It sounds like fans will meet Damien, but the official debut to this character may occur later this week. Something could guide them in the correct way to spy on Damien, so they may see him from afar, but it doesn't sound like they'll approach him just yet. After all, Y&R's weekly preview video does show Nate pretending to be a possible employer trying to hire Damien, so perhaps this scenario will occur in the days ahead. Across town, Billy Abbott will exchange scenes with Chelsea Lawson. Billy is preparing to give his ex-girlfriend some unwanted advice, so it looks like he may learn about her intentions to move in the Adam Newman at the Newman Ranch and give her a stern warning against it. Still, despite this, Chelsea is planned to move in with Adam at some time in the new year, despite all the red flags, and it'll be all for Connor Newman's sake. But are they making a mistake? Fans will have to tune in to Y&R find out. Lastly, Devin Hamilton Winters will have a strategy session with wife Abby Newman Abbott Hamilton Winters and sister Lily Winters on Wednesday's Young and Restless episode. Now that Lily is back in the family business, it looks like she'll hit the ground running. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Lily is all business right now. She is prepared to enter into a new romance very soon. All arrows are pointing to her and Damien developing a love connection. But how will Nate and Devin feel about this? Y&R spoilers. 3 must-see Young and the Restless moments, week of January 6th. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest there are 3 must-see scenes during the week of January 6th, 2025. Fans might expect Jordan to go rogue. This actually might be what ends up saving Sharon Newman. Meanwhile, locating Damien uncovers the skeletons in Audra Charles's. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman concerns for Claire Grace Newman's safety. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jordan Howard goes rogue. Y&R spoilers for the week of January 6th reveal that Jordan will go rogue. Right now, Jordan has kidnapped Sharon. Ian Ward wants Jordan to kill Heather and dump her body in the same area as Heather Stevens. Ian also wants Phyllis Summers implicated for the crime. After all, Phyllis has already done half the work by raving all over town about her threats against Sharon. During a recent episode, Ian asked Sharon if she had taken care of Sharon. Jordan said she had, but Sharon was chained to a giant pipe in some kind of basement, maybe a water treatment plant near the river? I don't think that's what Ian wanted Jordan to do. Y&R spoilers. Sharon Newman's fate while Sharon is alive. She won't be if something happens to Jordan. It doesn't appear that Ian knows where Jordan stashed Sharon. Now, Ian keeps having Jordan commit crimes, but nothing has been done to help her with Claire Grace Newman. So, Jordan might refuse to tell Ian where Sharon is until he does something for her. Meanwhile, Nick Newman will search feverishly for Sharon. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Audra Charles's skeletons. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of January 6th suggest that Audra and Nate Hastings will still be in Los Angeles. In their research into Damien, there is a huge hint. However, it is also promised that Damien will have a big effect on Nate's life as well as Lily Winter's. It is also suggested that it could force some of Audra's skeletons to come out. YNR spoilers, week of January 6, 2025. Also, viewers may expect Nikki to fear about Claire's safety. Maybe the Newman family eventually clues in that Ian isn't working alone? Another option is that with Jordan sheltering Sharon, Ian might have the upper hand another way, by targeting Claire. While Jordan wants Claire back, she still wants to weaponize her, not have her killed. So, it sounds like this criminal coalition could turn into a battle zone. Dead man stalking, Young and Restless. Ian is as good as gone, and we know who's gonna send him to his grave. Young and Restless is not so subtly setting up a whodunit of epic proportions. Why epic? Because the takedown of this criminal mastermind could throw half of the nice citizens in Genoa City on the lengthy suspect list. When Ian Ward came to town, we all knew Victor would be gunning for him. After all, they not only have their own experience inside prison, but Ward committed the greatest offense in the Mustaches book. He messed with Nikki. Not once, not twice, but several times. Even Jordan was shocked he was still breathing after being summoned to the Newman ranch. Speaking of Ian's new partner in crime/lover, the psychopathic crazy Aunt Jordan has been progressively losing patience with him as well. As if being imprisoned together in the cramped quarters of the Red Door Motel weren't enough, Ward's been manipulating and supporting his own agenda over Howard's, which isn't doing him any favors. If the murdering crazy case who looks to have offed Heather to frame Sharon decides Ian is messing her about, well, she's liable to do anything. In her own foreboding words of caution, crisscross, Ian. Crisscross. But it wasn't until Mariah approached Ian in the parquet and straight up told him if he didn't keep away from her family she would kill him, that we were convinced a soapy whodunit was in the works. Ian's very existence is enough to spark a response from the redhead he reared in his cult, but making pointed statements about Tessa and Arya rapidly took her to the extreme of uttering a bald-faced death threat. And who can blame her? No one understands better than Mariah what Ian is capable of, except, maybe, for Nikki. Nikki will begin to worry about Claire later this week, now that she's aware of Ian's reappearance in Genoa City. And with her own trauma at the hands of the cult leader fueling the fire, she may decide that it's not prudent to wait for Victor and his surprisingly inept team of goons to handle the job and take matters into her own hands. In reality, any number of Newmans could find themselves on the suspect list. Adam has a complex past with the charlatan he once fought to what he believed was his death in the Newman Tower fire. Nick and Faith are persuaded that Ian is involved to Sharon's medicines being drugged, considering that the date of his arrival in Genoa City was too close to her issues to be accidental. Even Claire may be the one to terminate Ian's terrible existence, should she find out he sprung Jordan from prison to harm her family anew. Or she might be attempting to kill Jordan when Ian gets in the way. Who else would fill out our suspect list? Well, Phyllis has a past with Ian, and he's ready to attempt to frame her for Sharon's murder, so that would absolutely go to motive. Tessa might unwittingly put the villainous Ward off this mortal coil whilst trying to safeguard Mariah or Arya, and Sharon herself may take aim at Ian should she manage to survive the predicament she's currently in. Little he'll certainly be around a little longer to wreak havoc. It's evident that Young and Restless is preparing the stage for Ian Ward's death, and the whodunit that will surround it. Why Summer and Chance need to rekindle their romance on Young and the Restless. Summer isn't excellent at enjoying the single life. Summer Newman's love life has long been the stuff of daytime soap legend. However, it's encountered a bit of a dry period lately. Now, as the Young and the Restless navigates her return to the single life, one thing is becoming increasingly evident: she's not adept at being a bachelorette. Summer thrives in a relationship, and she thrives the greatest while being with Chance. Let's look into why this relationship deserves another try and why no one wants to see Summer stray into a chaotic, Phyllis-esque plot. A recipe for trouble. Being single in Genoa City isn't exactly a stroll in the park, it's a shortcut to drama. And while Summer has every right to embrace her independence, leaving her unattached for too long could cause disaster. Rumors of a potential love triangle featuring Summer, Kyle, and Claire are already swirling. Yikes! Fans don't need a crystal ball to understand how that could go awry. Nothing says soap opera chaos like a family feud over a romantic entanglement. Summer has spent years attempting to climb above her mother Phyllis's aptitude for personal and professional calamities. Falling into a love triangle with her cousin would be a step in the wrong way. Let's make Summer's tales lively, not messy. Why Chance is the perfect partner. When Summer and Chance first got acquainted, it was like seeing fireworks light up the Genoa City skyline. Chance's solid, grounded nature matches Summer's wild personality. Together, they establish a balance that brings out the best in both of them. Chance has demonstrated he can handle the Newman drama, while Summer provides a spark of enthusiasm into Chance's sometimes serious environment. They're the kind of couple who can go from solving a family catastrophe to having a peaceful, meaningful moment, and we're here for it. Plus, let's not forget that Summer has developed enormously from her early, more reckless days. She's ready for the kind of mature, drama-free relationship Chance offers. Why spend that growth on a storyline that'll have her chasing Kyle or getting caught up in cousinly awkwardness? Fans want love at the end of the day. Viewers tune in for romance, redemption, and a little bit of drama, not an infinite spiral of stupid mistakes. Summer and Chance give fans the best of both worlds, a pairing that's both thrilling and stable. Genoa City could use more of such energy, especially with so many couples teetering on the edge of tragedy. So, here's hoping Summer and Chance find their way back to one another. Because let's face it, Genoa City doesn't need another love triangle, and Summer deserves more than to become Phyllis 2.0. Let's root for a love story that's worth watching. Michael gathers shocking intel on Ian. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, January 9th reveal some heated moments in Genoa City. The Wednesday, January 8th episode finished with Damien making his debut on the show. Nate Hastings finally got to meet his half-brother, but as the show wrapped, Damien was quick to stand firm and ask Nate about why he scheduled this meeting in the first place. While Damien would love to work for Winters, he asked Nate why the corporation would want to poach him, considering his work experience, and inquired for the real purpose behind all this. YNR spoilers for Thursday, January 9th reveal that Nate will have some shocking news for Amy Lewis, so here's hoping Nate was able to convince his half-brother that he comes in peace, and there's nothing nefarious going on so the two can form a brother bond. Will Nate tell Damien the truth though, or continue to lead him along with this bogus story? Across town, Victor Newman will charge Michael Baldwin with obtaining some intel regarding Ian Ward. Now that Sharon Newman's car has been located at the bottom of the river, he, along with Nick Newman and others, can't help but feel as if Ian is behind her disappearance. Will Michael be able to acquire the information Victor needs to bring Ian down? Speaking about Sharon, YNR spoilers for Thursday, January 9th also predict that Nick will decide to take control of the issue and find his ex-wife himself. Still, will he be successful? The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that things will become considerably worse for Sharon before they get better, so can Nick find her in time? Why didn't Jordan terminate her life? Who will be the one to save the day for Sharon? Only time will tell. YNR spoilers next 2 weeks, Sharon's fate, Victor's buried secret, Phyllis's horror story. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks are here. From January 6th to 17th, 2025, fans may expect to see what happens to Sharon Newman. Victor Newman's concealed secret could resurface and jeopardize everything. Also, Ian Ward plans on targeting Phyllis Summers since she is making it so easy. The Young and the Restless teasers Ian Ward summoned YNR teasers for the week of January 6th suggest that Victor threatens Ian. However, Ian doesn't appear all that rattled. What Victor doesn't comprehend is that Ian isn't the only threat to his family in Genoa City. Ian is working with supervillain Jordan, who has told him about Victor's basement and the Brussels sprouts torture. YNR spoilers: Victor Newman's buried secret. Victor never did tell Nikki Newman, Victoria Newman, or Claire Grace Newman about his dungeon prisoner. Cole Howard and Michael Baldwin grabbed charge and saved Victor's booty. While Victor thought he was protecting his family, Nikki and the others might not view it that way. This secret could potentially harm Cole's friendship with both Victoria and Claire. The Young and the Restless spoilers, week of January 6, 2025. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of January 6 show that Victor orders Michael to gather information on Ian. Will Michael learn that Ian and Jordan are both in the same hotel room? Meanwhile, Jordan goes rogue by stashing Sharon Newman's body. Jordan needs some leverage to make sure that Ian maintains his word. When Sharon wakes up, she's shackled and alone. Sharon will call out for help, but she's likely somewhere nobody can hear or see her. However, Nick Newman will work overtime to find Sharon before it's too late. Nick has pretty good intuition, thus he will probably find Sharon before the police. Also, Phyllis makes a bargain with Billy Abbott. However, Phyllis is starting to remember more fragments from the night of the crash. It won't be long before Phyllis discovers Jordan is the lady responsible. There is reason to assume that Phyllis and Sharon wind up hostages together. Nate Hastings and Audra Charles locate a clue in L.A. in the search for Damien. YNR spoilers: next 2 weeks. During the week of January 13, Nick will continue his hunt. By this point, Phyllis might be AWOL as well as Sharon. So, that will put the pressure on Nick to sprint against the clock. Elsewhere, it seems Jordan's renegade move could piss Ian off. Jordan and Ian just might start turning on each other. The Young and the Restless slammed for these awful mistakes. Can it get any worse? That's what a lot of the Young and the Restless fans are saying to themselves lately, especially when it comes to some of the apparel they are seeing on the canvas. In fact, a lot of people say it's become one giant mistake. The Young and the Restless slammed for these awful mistakes. During the newest episode of The Young and the Restless, a lot of viewers couldn't help but give Nikki Newman a side look. And that's not because of what she was doing, but rather because of what she was wearing in the boardroom. Let's just say that no one was impressed at all. It goes without saying that there were a lot of YNR fans who offered their thoughts regarding the topic on social media. Some even reacted with, "When you got a board meeting at 2 and have to be in a Janet Jackson video at 6. Like she is a toy soldier about to march in her local Christmas parade or the high priestess of Ian's cult. I really can't handle this anymore." Another critic added, "Ridiculous wardrobe YR has displayed lately along with strange hairdos. Is the wardrobe department going too far on YNR? Someone needs to make some changes immediately because this is getting harder and harder to look at." Melody is a gorgeous woman, however they are having her wear the most weird clothing. This isn't even fashion at this point. And then there was this comment as well, "I agree with everyone, it's time to fire the fashion department at The Young and the Restless. She looks like she needs to report back to command the Starship Enterprise with a meeting with Dr. Spock at 8. Nikki Newman is getting ready to sing Rhythm Nation. Mariah on The Young and the Restless, everything you need to know. The character of Mariah Copeland on The Young and the Restless has quite an interesting backstory, so it's no wonder that some fans would find themselves wondering precisely who this young woman is. Part of the confusion originates from the actress that plays her. Cameron Grimes introduced the character in January of 2014, yet from 1997 to 2005 on YNR, she previously portrayed Cassie Newman. Read on, because we promise it will all make sense, someday. Sharon Newman was spooked when she began experiencing visions of her dead daughter, Cassie, who begged her to confess to the secret she was holding. Sharon had manipulated DNA test results to make Nick believe Summer wasn't his daughter. She went back on her meds and was shocked to still see Cassie, but even more so when she learned she could touch her. It was subsequently revealed that the young woman was not actually Nick and Sharon's late daughter, but a look-alike named Mariah Copeland whom Victor Newman had hired to gaslight Sharon to keep Nick away from her. After the truth about her identity came out, it was also revealed that Mariah was the ex-fiancée of Tyler Michelson and had outstanding charges for a robbery in Portland. Sharon was intrigued to her daughter's doppelganger and helped her settle her past to start a fresh future in Genoa City. Nick hired Mariah to work at his club, The Underground, and she grew closer to the entire family, including his daughter, Faith. But when Sharon suspected Mariah was attempting to seduce Nick, she booted her out of the house. It was the unscrupulous Ian Ward who had urged Mariah to get close to the Newmans and move in with Nick and Sharon. In truth, Nick then discovered that Sharon was Mariah's mother, and Helen Copeland had taken Cassie's twin sister to give to Ian. The villain captured Mariah and drugged her into marrying him before Nick and Sharon were able to rescue her. She moved back in with them, but Mariah struggled to accept Sharon as her mother. Mariah struck up a connection with Kevin Fisher that grew into a romance, but it never really went anywhere. She also kissed Austin, but he ended up dead, and Mariah found herself caught up in a murder investigation as she and her friends worked to uncover his killer. She also got tied up with Kevin and Natalie in a business endeavor called Pasky, but the less said about it, the better. Although Mariah had accepted Sharon as her mother, she was outraged to hear that she had been raising Christian Newman as Sully and allowing Dylan assume he was his son. She promised to preserve the secret, but continued to pressure Sharon to come clean. Hillary Curtis hired Mariah as a gopher for GC Buzz, and despite their turbulent working relationship, they eventually became co-hosts. She briefly dated Devin Hamilton, which made Hillary incredibly jealous, but Mariah eventually befriended musician Tessa Porter and an attraction formed. After they shared a kiss, Mariah and Tessa were both terrified of their feelings and stepped back. But Mariah was later enraged when Tessa took her journal and used her intimate thoughts to write a new song. They finally reunited and continued working together as pals at GC Buzz. Upon his return to town, Kyle Abbott caught up on the attraction and persuaded Mariah to give it another shot with Tessa. She finally caved in and embarked into a serious relationship with the musician, but they struck further barriers when Mariah realized that her girlfriend had been blackmailing Sharon, Victoria, and Nikki to raise the cash to give her former prostitute sister, Crystal, a new life. Mariah agreed to keep close to Tessa in order to figure out just how much she knew, but in the end, genuinely reconciled with her girlfriend. After Hillary's death, Mariah took over at GC Buzz, but after being harassed, chose to give up being on camera. Devin shifted her over to work at Power Communications instead, where she found herself arguing with Theo Vanderway. When Tessa's ex, Tanner Watts, arrived in town, Mariah was startled to hear her girlfriend had never mentioned being married in the past, but ultimately persuaded her to go on tour with him as it would be wonderful for her career. While Tessa was out of town, Mariah was saddened to be dismissed by Devin and learn that Sharon was battling breast cancer. She shared her worries to Lindsay, and they were unhappily at a very close moment when Tessa returned home and caught them together. Mariah explained she'd assumed Tessa was sleeping with Tanner, but insisted nothing had happened between her and Lindsay, but Tessa just stormed off. And when Mariah tried to explain and ask her forgiveness and understanding, Tessa refused to accept her back and dumped her. Mariah went out of her way to apologize and make it up to Tessa, who eventually forgave her and agreed to give their relationship another go, but cautioned that one more mistake and it was over for sure. Mariah then supported Sharon during her struggle with breast cancer and acted as Abby Newman's maid of honor when she tied the knot with Chance Chancellor. She was later astonished when Abby asked her to be their surrogate, and after discussing it with Tessa and gaining her okay, Mariah accepted to carry their baby. She and Tessa moved into the Chancellor mansion and learned the baby was a boy. Mariah was suspicious when Abby's ex, Ben Stitch Rayburn returned to Genoa City for a visit, and shortly after he left, Mariah went missing. Although Mariah kept sending emails to her pals to comfort her that she just needed some time away, it was eventually revealed that she was being held captive by someone in a room somewhere. Thankfully, her family was able to infer that Stitch was her kidnapper, and Devin and Abby arrived to her just as she gave birth to her baby. Abby was delighted that Dominic was safe and healthy, but Mariah had grown connected to Bowie while in prison and difficult to let go. Eventually, she took a step back, but her baby obsession continued when she suggested to Tessa that they establish a family of their own. Initially reluctant, Tessa eventually consented, recommending that they adopt. Mariah accepted Tessa's romantic marriage proposal and then popped the question herself. A newly returned Noah gave a lovely speech at their engagement celebration but plainly still pined for Tessa. The pair chose on a 70s glam theme for their wedding, and Kyle officiated with Sharon and Nick leading Tessa and Mariah down the aisle separately. The newlyweds then traveled on a honeymoon to Paris. Upon their return, Mariah supported Tessa as she underwent throat surgery and begged Kyle to give her wife a job modeling for Marchetti to keep her mind off of putting her singing career on wait as she recovered. After an adoption attorney turned them down due to their criminal history, Mariah and Tessa hired Christine Blair. Although the first potential mom eventually chose to give her baby to her cousin, the second, Delphine, was glad to have the couple adopt her baby. After bringing their daughter home from Portland, Tessa and Mariah named her Aria Porter Copeland, and Sharon threw them a surprise baby shower. With Tessa's support, Mariah chose to quit Jabot to go work with Sharon at Augusta Skirsten, eventually called SNA Media. When they noticed Aria sleeping through loud noises, Mariah and Tessa got anxious and had their daughter evaluated by a doctor who confirmed that the newborn had hearing loss. An expert eventually told the new moms that Aria's ailment was treatable, though there was no cure. As Mariah and Tessa got Aria fitted with a hearing aid, Devin promised them they would find ways to connect. And the moms were thrilled when Aria responded to sound while wearing her hearing aid. When 2024 kicked out, Mariah was settling into her new job working for her mother's company, which Sharon named Cassidy First Technology after Cassie. She also bonded with Victoria's daughter, Claire Howard, over the tough childhoods they shared. She also noted the way Kyle was acting and wondered whether he had feelings for Claire. But Mariah got especially concerned when Sharon began exhibiting weird behavior and spacing out during discussions. She and the whole family tried to get Sharon some help, but she became more and more aloof and secretive, prompting them all to worry. Mariah, like the rest of the family, was astonished when Sharon confessed to Heather Stevens' murder and found it hard to believe. She was relieved when an examination of her mother's meds indicated they'd been mixed with hallucinogenics, and Sharon recalled she hadn't committed the actual murder, though she still did cover up the crime in a hurry. But Mariah had another fear when Sharon went missing and she found out that Ian had been allowed out of prison and was snooping around Genoa City again. Chelsea's critical warning: Phyllis and Billy's doomed alliance? The Young and the Restless spoilers predict that Chelsea Lawson will become concerned about Billy Abbott. In fact, Chelsea gives Billy some unsolicited advice. Chelsea also grows apprehensive, which could be regarding Billy's alliance with Phyllis Summers. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Adam Newman's special request. YNR spoilers suggest that Victor Newman has determined that Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson should be together. In light of the killer wandering around Genoa City, Adam did invite Chelsea to move in with him, just until the threat was past. Even Victor brought it up to Chelsea and stressed how amazing it would be for Connor Newman. YNR spoilers, disturbing news. Despite Chelsea and Adam being merely civil co-parents right now, there is grounds to assume these two might rekindle their romance. Plus, with Chelsea bringing worrisome news to Adam, which could be regarding Billy and Phyllis, there could be some unexpected turns. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Phyllis Summers deal. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Phyllis sorely needs a distraction from the Sharon Newman situation. Billy made a proposal to Phyllis earlier, but she didn't seem to be on board at the time. Phyllis wondered how going after Victor may affect Billy's children. It seems Billy merely has payback on his mind, though. Billy is willing to risk everything in order to get it. YN are spoilers, doomed alliance? It seems Phyllis and Billy are going to reach a deal. However, when Phyllis and Billy are spotted together, Chelsea could get the wrong idea. In fact, this week, Chelsea gives Billy some unsolicited advice. That suggestion could be to remain clear of Phyllis, especially because Billy has a really good thing with Sally Spectra. It was teased during a recent interview with TV Insider that Billy would be torn. It doesn't say a love triangle directly, but Billy will be separated somehow. It is believed that Sally will be the good angel on Billy's shoulder while Phyllis will be the devil. It definitely sounds like Phyllis might be attempting to distract herself, but she might put all that negative energy into the Victor scheme. While Victor will be fascinated with Ian Ward and soon enough, Jordan, it would actually be the best time for Billy and Phyllis to strike. Will the aftershocks be worth everything they will lose, though? Young and Restless heartbreaker, Jordan's revenge on Claire puts a target directly on, spoiler. Young and Restless Jordan and Ian make it obvious that they aim to get revenge on Claire and Mariah if they fail to behave sufficiently repentant for abandoning them and taking up with the Newman family. Given that every single scene these days tells us exactly how much Claire enjoys her new life, it's a clear conclusion that Jordan would decide to punish Claire for her betrayal. What better way to achieve that than to shatter her heart? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the best method to injure Claire would be to go after either her new family or her new love. But whom will she target? Well, it may not matter, as the outcome is likely to be the same regardless. What do we mean by that? Claire's new affair with Kyle is blooming into a full-blown love story. Jordan's already in the loop on the cozy new connection and could decide that her great niece has to watch him die as vengeance for turning her back on her. Youngster Harrison proved to be an easy target in Jordan's last evil go-round, but Kyle will be a tougher nut to crack. That said, we don't think for a moment that she wouldn't take her best, shot at it. Also in the line of fire is Claire's mother, Victoria. In Jordan's twisted mind, she reared Claire, therefore the young woman rejecting her, and her indoctrination, in favor of embracing her birth mom and delighting in joining the Newman flock is the height of treasonous action. What better way to punish Claire than to alienate her from her mother for good? Victoria's death would devastate Claire and tear the Newmans to shreds. Talk about slaying two birds with one stone. The bottom line, however, is that Kyle is an Abbott and Victoria is a Newman. Neither of these core characters are going to be moving off this mortal coil anytime soon. But there is someone Claire loves who is more, shall we say, expendable. That person would be Claire's father, Cole. Given that Jordan's entire objective supposedly revolves around vindicating her sister Eve's death, it doesn't seem reasonable that she would target her nephew, but we're sure the madwoman could find a way to rationalize it. Perhaps she'd persuade herself that Claire left her no choice but to send Cole to his cemetery, and that she's reconciling her late sister with her son. She sure didn't mind luring him to her place and drugging him when this whole nightmare kicked off. It's also feasible that Cole will become a casualty of Jordan pointing her crosshairs at Victoria or Kyle. If he leaps in to play hero, as Cole is wont to do, he might end himself taking a bullet and experiencing a heroic but heartbreaking death. Either way, our suspicion is that Jordan's impending revenge scheme against Claire means that Cole is living on borrowed time. Victor shedding his anger and inviting Victoria's ex into the fold was not a good indication. Seasoned Young and Restless viewers and soaps readers know all too well how this works. The most replaceable character is generally the one to go. Some would even say the author-turned-Oxford professor needs to depart considering that his restored romance with Victoria is not exactly blazing up the small screen. Michael faces Victor's latest demand. Prove that Victor is the most important, please. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, January 9th, feature Victor allowing Michael to prove why Victor should trust him again by doing even more of Victor's menial work. He's a giver, our Victor. Next on The Young and the Restless, remember how upset Victor was when Michael looked out for Victor's interests by finding a method to put Jordan in prison without exposing Victor and holding her hostage? That was an unspeakable offense. It was almost as horrible as when Jack risked his life to save Nikki. While Victor would never, ever forgive the latter offense, he is ready to offer Michael an opportunity to make it up to him by researching Ian. Victor can't jeopardize his own family's safety with that monster. But it's completely fine for Lauren and Finn. Run along, Michael, and take all the risks while Victor takes credit as God intended. Search and discover Sharon is still missing, which indicates Nicholas is on the hunt. Since there are practically any cops remaining in Genoa City, where is Chance? How many cases is he on? Is he talking through Summer now? This means Nick must go through it alone. His only indication is Ian. He doesn't know about Jordan yet. That's enough. There is just one spot to hide a person in this town. How hard can it be to find? Eureka, I have found him. Amy wanted Nate to find his long-lost half-brother, Damien. So Nate hired a private eye. The private eye found Damien. Now, Nate will meet the guy, but without revealing him who he really is. Will it be a joyous family reunion? Or another excuse for Damien to do a runner? The Young and the Restless head writer previews 2025, suspense, romance, family conflict, all on the horizon. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal the program has plenty of big surprises for the new year. The soap's head writer, Josh Griffith, just provided some indications surrounding key storylines that are going fans' way, so it's time to dive into all the drama that's slated for 2025. YNR spoilers, 2024 was good, 2025 will be better. Griffith recently spoke to TV Insider suggesting that 2025 will be even better than 2024. He adds, it will be a whirlpool of romance, suspense, and family conflict. One interesting storyline twist that Josh points out is the reappearance of Jordan and Ian, which will finish with something YNR viewers never saw happening. In fact, their storyline will flare up during February sweeps. The head writer anticipates some massive face-offs between Nikki Newman and Jordan, as well as Victor Newman and Ian, so fans will have to brace themselves for some drama. Jordan and Ian's reappearance will also turn Mariah Copeland's world upside down and badly influence her romance with Tessa Porter. In addition, the long-going rivalry between Victor and Jack Abbott will resurface, which will have a bad impact on the romance between Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott. Another individual who will cause troubles for Claire in 2025 is Summer Newman, who will steal a page out of her mom's, Phyllis Summers' plotting books to attempt to bring the couple down. YNR spoilers, romance is in the air still. There's a silver lining to all the mayhem Ian and Jordan create, and that is, it'll bring Nick Newman and Sharon Newman closer together. With being said, Chic supporters shouldn't get too enthusiastic, as while a reunion is coming, it'll be a slow burn. Speaking of Sharon, she and rival Phyllis will be forced into a dire position that has them both re-evaluating their chemistry. Could Phyllis and Sharon become friends? Only time shall tell. Phyllis will also fall into a love triangle with Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra. Billy will feel confused between bad girl Phyllis and good girl Sally, and things will grow that much more complicated when he gets into business with Phyllis. Across town, as Daniel Romalotti finds the truth about Heather Stevens' demise, he'll be overcome with emotion, and there's not only a prospect for forgiveness but a new connection, too. In other news, Lily Winters and Devin Hamilton Winters are taken by surprise with the appearance of Nate Hastings' new half-brother, Damien. Interestingly enough, Audra Charles will find herself engaged in a mystery, which will catch the entire Winters family off guard. Lastly, it looks like Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson will dabble with reunion notions when they move in together for Connor Newman's sake. It sounds like what may start as a chore could end up in romance. Decades in the making, could Phyllis experience major growth on Young and the Restless? Phyllis is relaxing and unfolding. Fans have seen a different side to her on the Young and the Restless. If she's willing, she could achieve substantial character growth. Finally, growing up? During the New Year's Eve program, Phyllis exhibited some progress. She didn't have a wild night out or do anything outrageous in the presence of Christine and Danny. Rather, she talked with her kids, Daniel and Summer, at the bar. It was appropriate given they had a hard year. During their talk, Phyllis shared a stunning information. She admits wanting what was best for Sharon. She no longer believes that Sharon was the one who tried to run her off the road and murdered Heather. Phyllis was willing to repair her wrongs. She wants to get past her tangled relationship with Sharon. Currently, Phyllis is focused on seeking justice for Daniel and Lucy. YNR fans may see more of this side of her. Hero's journey. Ian believes Sharon is dead, but Jordan has her tied up somewhere. In short, Sharon's horror isn't done. Since Phyllis wants to crack the case, it's possible that she could wind up rescuing Sharon. As a result, Phyllis may obtain her redemption arc. She could finally be viewed as a hero in the eyes of Genoa City. This could also put an end to her continuing feud with Sharon. It would be a good change of pace for her character. This character change is decades in the making since Phyllis is not the type of person who easily makes amends. But this could have a great effect for her. Maybe she would finally get her buddies Michael and Lauren back too. YNR comings and goings January 6th to 10th, welcome home, brother. A mom appears. The Young and the Restless spoilers. The week of January 6th to 10th will be an exciting one, especially when it comes to casting changes on the drama. Who will be coming and who will be going during the next 5 days? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Welcome to Genoa City, Damien. YNR spoilers suggest that Damien will finally make his debut on the serial, as actor Nathan Owens formally steps into the role on Wednesday, January 8th. Fans received a brief sneak glimpse of a clip during the Y&R's teaser trailer for the week of January 6th to 10th, when Nate Hastings meets up with his brother, seemingly in a restaurant somewhere in Los Angeles. It looks like Nate will pretend to be someone wanting to offer Damien a job, and this might be the way he decides to break the ice with his half-brother. Meanwhile, Damien's mom, Amy Lewis, will also be on the canvas next week, as Valerie Pettiford participates in the Thursday, January 9th program. She'll have scenes with Nate, who may update her on meeting Damien for the first time. YNR spoilers. Villain duo continue to wreak havoc. Meanwhile, Ian Ward and Jordan will continue to sow devastation in GC. Ian will appear on the Monday, January 6th episode and share scenes with Victor Newman and Nick Newman. When it comes to Jordan, she'll also appear on Monday's broadcast, bringing an unconscious Sharon Newman from the hotel room to an underground basement, maybe a sewage plant, someplace in Genoa City. In addition, the villainess goes rogue on Thursday, January 8th, so what does this mean for Sharon? Could Jordan decide to pick up Claire Newman, or anyone else for that matter? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Phyllis rocks Billy's world, Nick risks it all for Sharon. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, January 7th indicate that Victor Newman convinces Nikki Newman that she has nothing to worry about now that Reverend Ian Ward is on the loose. Rightfully so, Nikki decides to be alert even if her husband swears to protect her at any cost. Maybe that's what she's worried about. Victor has done some illegal and immoral things in the past to protect his family, like caging up Jordan in his wine cellar. Ian is capable of immense harm and Nikki fears for Victor's safety as well. Victor assures Nikki Ian thinks he's the cat that got the cream since he's in cahoots with Jordan. Will he goof up and make a catastrophic mistake? Victor is sure that he can make him go away, so we'll have to see what he has prepared for the cult guru. Meanwhile, Victor's son Nick Newman is frantic regarding Sharon Newman's status. Where is she? The Young and the Restless spoilers. Where is Sharon Newman? Nick can't wait any longer and takes matters in his own hands. The only concern is, will he make things worse by going rogue? Nick has always been a guy of action and he wants to come through for the mother of his children. You can't blame him. YNR spoilers. Nick takes action as Nick gets underway on his mission. Another of his exes, Phyllis Summers, sends news to Billy Abbott. He wants her to team up against Victor, and thus far she has been undecided. Explosive show spoilers suggest that Phyllis has made up her mind, and we all know how deadly she is when she does that. Is she ready to put her cards on the table and go all in with Billy? Phyllis had a revelation concerning Heather Stevens' murder, and she now understands that Sharon is not the one who ran her off the road. Chastened, she will back off hounding the GCPD and is ready for a distraction. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis makes a decision, but will Billy wish he had picked someone other than Phyllis to aid him? She is known for lousy judgment, and he may quickly regret his request. Leave it to Sally Spectra to voice caution about this alliance, but will Billy listen? He is striving to be a better man for Sally, but Phyllis may steer him toward the dark side he frequently inhabits. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jordan threatens to kill Sharon. Danger is everywhere in this week's The Young and the Restless spoilers. Nate meets with Damien and spins his web of lies. Nikki is surprised to come face to face with Ian, and Jordan has Sharon just where she wants her. Once Denise found down Damien, Nate planned to meet with his half-brother under the guise that he's wanting to employ him to work at Winters. Naturally, Damien's suspicions are raised. It's not every day I get a cold call offering me a job, he says. Let alone an exec flying out to meet me. Nate carries up the ruse, adding, when I see someone I like, I don't waste time. How long before Damien finds out what Nate is really up to? And what is Damien hiding that keeps him on the run? Jordan and Ian were planned to assassinate Sharon and dump her body in the same area she dumped Heather, then accuse Phyllis for the crime this time around. But that plan seems to have changed as the villainess now has locked the unconscious Sharon in a dark, musty basement room. You should be grateful that you're not at the bottom of the river, Jordan taunts her victim. At least not yet. Meanwhile, alerted to the fact that Ian was out of prison, Victor pledged to handle the individual. However, when Nikki comes down to check what the ruckus is, she is astonished to find who is visiting them at the Newman ranch. What's going on? She asks, coming down the stairs. I heard voices. The man conversing with Victor turns around to face her and Nikki is horrified to find it's Ian Ward. What the hell is he doing here? She gasps. How does Victor plan to handle Ian, and will it work? Will Kyle's grief over presumed dead Claire bring him closer to Summer? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates suggest Jordan is steadfast in her objective to detach Claire Newman from the Newmans and resurrect their prior manipulative relationship. Believing that the Newman family has poisoned Claire, Jordan seeks to rescue her from their affluent, privileged influence and push her toward a new future. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Danger brewing for Claire Newman. A storm is forming on the horizon for Claire, who appreciates her newfound freedom from Jordan and has no desire to return to her turbulent past. Her upbringing was ruined by Jordan's influence, but now she lives a lively existence filled with choices of her own decision. Central to this magnificent existence is her relationship with Kyle Abbott, which offers her enormous joy. However, Jordan never taught Claire the value of love and passion, and he would stop at nothing to rip her away from Kyle. After all, Jordan's terrible past involves abducting Claire as a newborn and convincing everyone she was gone. Perhaps she might concoct a similar plot to recover her life. Y&R spoilers. Jordan Howard may fake Claire Newman's death. Jordan may conceivably abduct Claire, leaving behind deceptive evidence that suggests she has met a horrible end. It's probable that Jordan's strategy involves whisking Claire away from Genoa City, hoping to alter her mind once more. She might assume that by separating Claire from her familiar surroundings, she will rekindle Claire's loyalty. But what if Kyle comes to the tragic conclusion that Claire is indeed lost forever? This knowledge could sink him into a deep hole of misery, leaving him anxiously searching for a means to keep afloat amidst the overpowering waves of despair. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Summer Newman steps in to comfort Kyle Abbott. Former couple reconciles, causing Kyle Abbott's guilt? Summer Newman might find herself stepping in to console Kyle if a scenario like that happens. This could even ignite a moment of passion between them, as Kyle attempts to escape his anguish, if only for a fleeting time. However, this impetuous action could lead to profound regrets for Kyle, especially if he later discovers that Claire is alive and in dire need of aid. He may try to keep his grief-fueled encounter a secret, but the truth has a way of surfacing, particularly if Summer ends up pregnant. Regardless of how it plays out, fans of Y&R can anticipate more stormy romance between Kyle and Claire, and we'll keep you posted with predictions on the barriers they'll face. 3 Young and the Restless characters who need to cross over to B&B in 2025. The new year could bring more Y&R and B&B crossovers. The Young and the Restless has done many crossovers with the Bold and the Beautiful. Many characters have been to Los Angeles, whether for a quick vacation or a permanent residence. 2025 could bring more crossings with these Genoa City inhabitants. Lauren's unfinished business. Genoa City businesswoman Lauren has made many crossovers to B&B. Most of Lauren's visits involve business and seeing Forrester Creations' newest fashions to sell in her boutiques. With Hope and Carter now in charge, they want to keep FC's faithful buyers, including Lauren. The pair inviting Lauren to Los Angeles to pitch their concept for FC's future would be an interesting moment. Since Lauren is Eric's buddy, she'll decide whether to remain loyal to the Forrester or trust Hope and Carter. While Lauren's in Los Angeles, she should stop by to Giardino to see her rival Sheila. The last time Lauren was in town, Sheila was considered dead. But since Sheila is alive, now's the moment for the two to have their long overdue confrontation. A former designer returns? With many of the designers quitting, Forrester Creations needs new talent. Hope and Carter's hunt will involve calling a particular Y&R fashionista. Before going to Genoa City, Sally was a former FC fashion rival/employee. Whether she was competing against them or creating for them, Sally's works dazzled everyone. With the hope for the future sales failing, someone like Sally could turn the line around. Although she has a lovely life in GC, she might be persuaded when Hope and Carter call with a job offer. Lucy meets her grandma. Lucy is going through a tough period following the loss of her stepmother, Heather. The teen's life will be plunged into additional upheaval if she learns the truth about her family background. Although Heather nurtured Lucy since she was a newborn, Daisy is her biological mother. But that's not the end of Lucy's family tree. Y&R villain Sheila is Daisy's mother and Lucy's grandmother. Sheila and Lucy have never met. Fans think it's time for an interaction. Lucy may discover Sheila's whereabouts and then sneak away to visit her grandmother. While Lucy's journey will surprise Sheila, it'll be a nightmare for Daniel and Phyllis, who could make a B&B crossover too. Mariah threatens Ian, Billy accuses Phyllis. Billy was concerned meeting with Phyllis at society as he didn't know what she was up to. Nothing, Phyllis grinned. She stated for the first time in a long time, everything seemed like it was in place. Phyllis emphasized that she had completely let go of all of her anger toward Sharon. Billy said he understood righteous wrath and wasn't persuaded that she had genuinely just let it all go. He thought she sounded like she was trying to convince herself. Faith inquired if Nick thought she was overreacting. Nick claimed she has seen evil up close and had to cope with danger more times than anyone should. He claimed Sharon seemed steady recently and wasn't dealing with narcotics in her system. Faith agreed. Then where is she? Faith asked. At the ranch house, Victor told Nikki that Ian Ward would not hurt anyone in his family. Nikki added that Ian should not be underestimated. Victor told her that he would deal with Ian. Nikki described some of the things that Ian had done to them as if Victor needed reminding. Victor swore no one would catch them off guard ever again. How dare he come back here after all of the damage he has caused? Nikki cried. Nikki told Victor that all Ian did was create mayhem and that she loathed him. She didn't understand how he was released, but Victor pointed out Ian was a massive manipulator and relentless. Blackmail, kidnapping, attempted murder, teaming up with Adam, you were shot because of him. Nikki cried. Victor pledged that Ian would no longer be a problem for their family. Nick came to the main home, and they swapped notes on the Sharon problem. He added that he couldn't stay on top of things at Newman with everything going on. Nick mentioned Faith was at Sharon's with Christian and asked Nikki to organize a play date with his cousins as a distraction. Victor claimed he was almost persuaded that Ian had everything to do with Sharon's disappearance. Nick wondered why Ian would show up and what he wanted now. They all agreed that Ian's chaplain routine was a farce and that no one would believe his redemption. Nikki told Nick that Ian had sent a letter to the police telling them that the Newmans were to blame if anything happened to him. Chance called Nick and told him they found Sharon's car in the river. After he finished up with Chance, Nick informed to his parents that someone reported seeing Sharon's car drive off the bridge near where Heather's body was located. He said the cops collected it, and it was clearly Sharon's automobile, but thus yet, Sharon hadn't been discovered. Mariah and Tessa walked across the park with Arya and bumped into Ian, who was sitting on a park seat reading his Bible. Ian stood and said, "Good morning. And this little angel must be Arya." Mariah moved quickly between Ian and the stroller. Ian understood Mariah's defensiveness but felt she didn't need to be. Mariah told him he turned her stomach and wondered how he could endure to hear himself talk. Ian urged her not to leave and pointed out one of Victor's guards, adding that he had been following Ian around all day. "And I welcome it. Perhaps all the people around town will understand I'm no kind of threat," Ian explained. "Until he turns his back or you come up with distraction or whatever sick plan you have going on," Mariah snarled. Tessa asked what Ian wanted. Ian said he wasn't the man that he was and that he wanted to make amends. "If you could just give me one moment, perhaps I can begin to make that journey," Ian implored them. Mariah told Ian the bargain was that she would never have to see him again, and given the choice with a parole board, she would have told him to keep him locked away. Ian stated he didn't expect her to forgive him. He said everything was his fault, but he also knew that trauma can generate confusion in a young person's head, and they sometimes believe they are responsible for their own agony. "What? Are you insane? I never stated any of that." Mariah snapped. Ian maintained he was sorry of his acts and faults and wanted to make apologies but didn't expect forgiveness. Mariah claimed she wasn't going to let him waste another second of her time. "I understand," Ian insisted. Ian turned to Tessa and told her he hoped she felt better. He wondered if the doctor had told her why she'd experienced that asthma attack. Tessa stammered that there had been no explanation but thanked him for using the inhaler as Mariah stared. Ian added that as he helped Tessa, it all became evident that he had gone to town and been there at that particular moment. "No, you're not going to do this. You're not going to walk in and declare that you were the hero of the circumstance and it was God's design, because I can promise he doesn't want anything to do with you," Mariah yelled. "There's always a plan, Mariah, whether we want to accept it or not. And it appears we are intertwined to the end," Ian soothed. Mariah warned Ian that no higher power was leading him and that he'd know if he had anything other than evil in him. Ian assured Tessa there was no need to thank him and explained Mariah's fury as he had caused her a lot of hurt. Mariah claimed she wanted to vomit. She reminded Ian that Tessa had seen horrors in her life, too, just like Ian, so he couldn't con her. Ian added that he had said too much about himself and shared that one day, he hoped Mariah would discover forgiveness, as it could work miracles on a shattered heart. Ian assured Mariah and Tessa that he was sure they were parenting Arya with all of the love he deprived Mariah of as a child. "It's what happens when you buy a kid to expand your cult," Mariah yelled. Ian said people would condemn their lifestyle choices and their union, but he did not. Mariah told Tessa to take Arya ahead, and she'd join them when she was done with Ian. Tessa advised Mariah that the three of them should go together, but Mariah insisted she had to go ahead as she needed 1 minute with Ian. Once alone, Mariah explained she wanted to be clear as she didn't want to speak to him again. "Do not talk to my wife. Do not so much as look at my daughter. I will never forgive you, much less tolerate you. Stay away from my family, or I vow to God I am going to murder you," Mariah promised. Phyllis remarked that Billy knew her and knew that when she put her mind to anything, it was literally a piece of cake. "I do know you. One of the things I appreciate about you is that when you lie to yourself or anyone else, you are fully committed. I mean, you genuinely believe it in the moment, straight-faced and all," Billy told her. Phyllis revealed that she had made a New Year's resolution, and she was keeping to it. Phyllis stated he should be cheering her on because she was entirely devoted to bringing Chancellor back for him. Billy affirmed she was focused, determined, and all in. "Go, team. Just one condition," Phyllis added. Before Phyllis could tell Billy what she wanted, Summer walked in and screamed out that Chance had just told her Sharon was missing. Summer relayed what she knew, but Phyllis derided it, claiming that it was just typical for Sharon to do another disappearing act for attention. Billy wondered if that was her fury coming out. "This is not rage, I'm just stating reality," Phyllis self-soothed. Summer wondered whether Phyllis really thought Sharon would only make people worry. Phyllis claimed that Sharon would go away for a little while, everyone would freak out, and then she'd return again. Phyllis remarked that everyone would be so relieved and tell Sharon how delighted they were, and all would be forgiven. Billy knew Sharon had done this previously, but the time was off. He pointed out that Phyllis just happened to let go of all her wrath at the same time Sharon had gone missing. Billy questioned Phyllis straight up if she knew what happened to Sharon. Phyllis was startled that Billy would question that, but he pointed out how Phyllis swore retribution on Sharon. Summer was aghast that her mom had stated something like wanting to make Sharon pay. Phyllis denied stating anything and stressed that she didn't want Sharon to wiggle out of paying for her sins and that she wanted her to face the music. Billy insincerely backtracked on his accusation. Sally came in, and Billy went to join her. At another table, Sally asked Billy to travel to Paris with her on a business trip that they could enjoy individually. Billy advised they depart immediately. Sally mentioned the charming settings she'd chosen out. Billy questioned whether she was hoping to divert him from his plan to go after Victor, and Sally confirmed she was. But she also knew that he could continue when they got back, and she wouldn't stop him. Across the cafe, Phyllis couldn't believe Billy accused her of injuring Sharon and then was simply sitting over there holding hands with his gal pal as if nothing had happened. "Why do people still think the worst of me?" Phyllis wondered. She saw Summer's look and added, "Oh my God, Summer, not you, too?" Summer stated she didn't think that Phyllis did something to Sharon but wasn't shocked that Billy questioned given all of her mom's rantings. Phyllis pointed out that Sharon confessed, thus she was reporting facts, not screaming, but argued she was moving on from being infatuated with Sharon. She remarked that Nick and Michael may be worried about where Sharon was, but she wasn't going to worry about it. "If something happened to Sharon, it's on karma, not me," Phyllis continued. Phyllis couldn't quit staring at Billy and Sally, so Summer asked if she wanted to sit with them so she could hear them better. Summer said that Sharon was missing, and Nick and Faith were upset. Phyllis recognized that Summer cared about them but maintained that Sharon didn't really care about anyone but herself. She urged to let go of Sharon and her difficulties, and that they moved on as a family to recover. Summer passed Sally as they were both leaving society and inquired if she was ready for Paris. Phyllis joined Billy when she noticed him alone. Billy remarked that she could concentrate her non-Sharon energy into going against Victor. "Let me get this straight. My retribution is awful, but yours is useful and healthy," Phyllis asked. "Pretty much. Glad we got that worked out," Billy quipped. He asked her what the one condition was. "It's very easy. It's Daniel. When we get Chancellor back, Daniel becomes an important role there. A significant figure," Phyllis emphasized. She stated she was doing this because she wanted to provide a route forward after what happened to Heather. "So bottom line, no Daniel, no me. Do we have a deal?" Phyllis asked. Nick spent the night at Sharon's and told Faith in the morning that there was still no word from Sharon, but he'd visited all of the hospitals, and a missing person report was made with the police. Nick noted that Chance, the police, and Victor's guys were all on the case. He felt that maybe Sharon just wanted to go somewhere to have a decent night's sleep. He stated Sharon realized now that she wasn't the person who wounded Heather and probably just needed to take a breath. Faith reminded him that Sharon wanted to celebrate at society, then didn't show up. Nick told Faith that Sharon could handle herself. Faith questioned how long Sharon had been sedated before knowing it. She wondered if maybe the hypnosis sparked something that she couldn't handle. Nick assured her that no matter where Sharon was, the last thing she'd want was for Faith to be upset. What if it was Ian? The guy's capable of anything, right? What if he did anything to Mom? Faith asked. Nick informed Faith he knew she was concerned but didn't think Ian had a method to mess with Sharon's meds again. Faith stated Ian wasn't here to make people nervous, he was here for a cause. What if that reason was Mom? Faith cried. Nick argued there was too much security at the ranch, but Faith pointed out that it wasn't in place until after Sharon went missing, and they knew Ian was in town. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.